Hey, welcome back to Jamieson's Repair Shop. Well, in this video I built a forming tool to do a drain hole plug on the right side outer wheelhouse extension. Now, I've talked about these drain plug holes before. I've been waiting for the drain hole plugs to come from Bird Nest, stuck in LA still. So this is February 12th I ordered them. Hey, it is what it is. However, George in Michigan, service technician, he went the extra mile and he dug out one of his drain plugs. He even offered to send me some drain plugs, and I really appreciate that, George. But he sent pictures of his drain plug measured with a caliper, and I'll put a couple of them up. So I use those measurements to make some forming dies. So in this video, there's a few variations of this forming die. Well, it's the same forming die pieces. I just had to change them a bit here and there. So I built this heavier piece, and this is the piece that will go on the outside. This is a piece that goes on, this goes on the inside just to hold the metal tight. So they would go like that. And then they all were formed through here, like so. Now you'll see all this in the video, and you'll see some samples that I did with it, and you'll see the end results. I'm going to tell you up front, I'm not super happy with the end results, but since I went ahead and did it on the car already, so now I have some repairs to make around that. Not a big deal, it's just welding, cutting and welding, I'll make it work. But I do have a drain hole that I think looks pretty good in there. And I use this bell joint tool in this as well, and this heavy piece of steel for a backer. So, with all that said, and I want to thank George, and again on sending those pictures. I had no reference at all on the hole spacing. I'll just talk about that a little bit. The hole spacing, these two holes here are the hole spacing for the actual rubber plug that will be coming for the drain holes. So that's why I wanted those two holes, and the measurements were important, that when I do get the drain plugs, the drain hole covers is what they are. They aren't even plugs, they're just drain hole covers, but I should get the correct terminology on it. The little rubber nubs on those will go through these holes. Anyway, so let's get on with it and see if we can make head or tail of all this. Well, what I've got here is an overall measurement of this plug, and I'll get in closer. And here's what the plug looks like. It's like this in the car. You can see it's down in that corner. And there's a bulge in the wheelhouse extension right there that needs to be formed. I don't think I'm going to get it exactly looking factory, but it needs to be functional. So it needs to be able to take any moisture or water that gets in here and drain it out through here. So this drain hole will have to run right flat with the inner flange. And George from Michigan, service technician, he gave me a whole bunch of pictures, and I'm telling you, man, this guy has really been pulled through for me on this drain plug. Well, everything. He went out of his way to dig out the drain plug out of his storage, and I really appreciate that. Because, you know, I mean, it's not always easy to go find stuff when someone asks you for measurements. And I did ask him because I'm kind of stuck. I was waiting for my shipment from Bird Nest and still haven't gotten it. And I was hoping to be able to just measure it myself. But George pulled through as always, not usually, as always, and gave me measurements with calipers. So these are the overall length and the overall height of this is what it is. So 2.78 and 1.133. And that should be from here to here. I'll check again, but I believe that's the overall height of this, roughly. I mean, that's close enough for me, because this is going to be a forming job, so it'll probably be a little larger anyway. So what I'm trying to do is I need to get a piece of metal to build as a die to form this with. So this is why I wrote that down there. So that's what I'm working off right now. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Maybe you see that or not. Well, that's kind of what it is. So we're trying to get this cone shaped thing to come out. And again, I don't even care if it looks exactly the same as long as it's functional. So all right, this is where this drain plug goes. It needs to be formed here, and it sticks out in the inside. So this will be pushed in. This will change a little bit around here, so I'll probably have to do a little hammer and dolling or some restructuring to get it back in place. So anyway, let's get on and see if we can make a set of dies, forming dies, to pull that out without too much effort. All right, so now I have this piece made. I'm not sure about this tail on here. My idea was that it would go underneath, and I guess kind of like this. But I don't think that's going to give me enough. So I may have to get rid of that little tail. I'm not sure. We'll see. Anyway, what I have is a piece of 3/8 plate here, and I'm going to cut a spot, and I'm going to leave a little bit higher oval to give it that longer look on top. Now this wheelhouse extension isn't a factory extension, so it's more flat than like the factory ones. Look like they come down and they curve a bit. So when this was be put in, this would be brought up, but this will be just coming straight out. So I don't really think I need that tail on there, but what I need is a place to put the metal between. Put the metal between these two pieces and suck it on through. So if I make, even if I can get a 3/8 depth on this plug mount, that would be deep enough to give it water flow. It won't look factory, but I'm not worried about that. I want it to be functional. So if I cut this out, and then I can put 2 holes in here, and then I put another plate behind it, double this up. So and the other plate will have 2 holes in it that match this piece. So when I pull it through, it'll pull it through this, just to this 3/8 plate. And if it needs more, I can shim it and bring it through again. But for now, I think I'm going to try 3/8 just to get the functionality of this thing. But I don't think I'm going to need this piece on here. I can snip that off easy enough. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. So really, it just needs a place to pull this plate through. That's all I'm after. All right, so I want it to sit in as nicely as it can in the wheelhouse extension. So I'm going to mark this off so I can cut it so it'll fit in there nice and flush on the back side, so it'll fall back. And then from there, I'll find out where I'm going to put this hole. So that's what I'm up to. All right. So I'm going to leave that tail on for now. I got this piece, that's the shape of where the wheel arch is. So this will fit in there, and this is the distance it will be for this drain hole to start. I'm just marked off the size I want. I'm estimating that this is going to be, this washer's thick enough. So just going around it like that. And that is coated with just permanent marker. You've probably seen me use it before, just a Sharpie stuff, jumbo Sharpie. And that should allow enough to go down 3/8 without cutting the steel. When I do it, I'll grind this lip so it's smooth, and I'll grind a little more on the other lip so it's smooth. I did already round that off fairly nicely on the other side, but when I do this one, I'll take it back about like this. Just leave it like a chamfer on it, so it doesn't have a sharp edge to tear. It should roll over that, stretch down. Well, I'm going to give it a try anyway, so I'll have to get that cut out and then see how it goes. So the only big concern I have with this area here is I may have to slit the metal and then just take it in a little bit on the flange, on the wheelhouse extension, and just relieve that pressure right there. That's the only thing I might have to do. That's an easy one to do, and if I do, which I'm feeling I might have to make it go easy, once I get it down in the 3/8 that I want, I'll just re-weld it on the flange where it needs to be. All right, this is the piece that will sandwich the metal together. This will be the sheet metal from the wheelhouse extension will go in here. And then this will be pulled. I'm going to drill this hole out a little larger. And then in conjunction with the plate that I had made here, when I cut this hole out of the plate, I'll be able to have a bolt come right, well, this will be gone. And like this will be the hole here. And then I'll bridge this. I'll bridge the hole with another plate on edge, maybe two, probably two, because I want to hold these tabs together, and one up here. And then I'll put a place to put a nut on here. So when this is out, I can pull this up through. But I needed two pieces to sandwich together to hold the metal. Now I'm not sure which way I actually probably should do it this way. So, because this inner plate is only just to hold it. I was going to make two of these, but I'd already made this and I didn't like the look of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and use it. I'm going to test this before I try it on the car. So I'll get a flange made and try it. I'll test it out. I'm not going to go at the car right away without testing this process. And if it doesn't look right, I'll have to modify my plan. So yeah, so I'll probably pull it up through this way with a heavy plate behind so it doesn't bend. And then this will hold the metal in place. I'll be able to bolt down these holes. And George, thanks for the pictures. These holes are set to where the plugs go, and they're a 1/4 inch hole. So in theory, they should work. If not, I can weld. There'll be holes in the tin of the 18 gauge. So if they're a little too large, I can fill them in and re-drill them. The idea is to keep this guided. So once I put this plate against the metal where I want it to be, I'll have these holes in there, and I can use them as guides along with this hole here. I think I'm going to go probably a 1/2 inch bolt there. As long as it's below the drain hole area, that's fine. I've got these two parts made. I still have to drill a larger hole in there. And that'll be the bolt that pulls it through. So now I'm going to cut out this piece right here where this pulls through. And like I said, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to try cutting it. Actually, it goes like this. It doesn't matter. I'll get it. I have it scribed out. So I'm going to try cutting it out as close to the scribed line as I have. You may not be able to see it there. But I'm going to use the plasma cutter. That went relatively smooth. Now I'll take the die grinder and I'll clean up around that and make it the size it needs to be. Alright, this is what I got so far. I got this piece of the forming die made, and the 18 gauge will go in there. This will be on the inside, this will be on the inside, this will be on the outside. These holes will help hold the metal because I'll tighten these bolts up. They aren't big, but they'll help a little bit. And then there'll be a larger, I'm going to go for probably a 1/2 inch bolt here. And then on the back side of this, I think I'm going to weld a bridge on this across. And like raised up, and a bridge. So I have some room for this whole thing to move in and out. Because it has to come up this far minimum. to get a 3/8 form. All right, well, let's keep working on it. All right, there's the first one, first test piece. I think, I'll get this way with it. I think I want, where's my marker? According to the diagram, it goes up higher. Sort of like that. So I'll have to open up. So I'll open up this hole more, just to pull more material in. And I think it'll be functional that way. All you're trying to do is get a place for the water to go. And then the drain plug, those holes are where the drain plug needs to be. And then the drain plug, I'm drawing through the camera here. Sort of like so. That's not very straight. But anyway, that's what you get the idea. So I think I'm going to work on the forming die a little bit and open it up so it flares out more that way. So it has more, this is raised more right here. Other than that, I think I can live with it. I think maybe over this way a little bit. Like I say, it's not going to look factory, but as long as it's functional. So this would be, this lip would now move up to here, and this would stay the same. So I think that would be good. All right, I'll keep playing with it. Now there she is. I didn't actually pull it through this time because I had already formed it. So I put the forming tool back on, and then I went on the other side and I hammered and dolly it. But I'm pretty sure that if this were all fresh steel, that would pull up nice. I'll give it a try one more time before on another piece. I'll flip it over to the other side over here, or get another piece of steel and put an angle on it and see if it does. And I think it'll be functional enough. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's just it's just a drain hole. As long as the drain hole plugs fit and they look right, I think this will be. I mean, that's a little bit distorted because I just hammer formed it, right? But I think that'll be okay. I mean, who's going to be under there looking that close? All right, I did that one imprint and I just hammer formed that. So I'm going to try it again. And I'm getting it set up. I want to see how this turns out by not hammer forming it, just pulling it through. So this would be the inside of the wheelhouse extension, and this is the drain plug forming tool. So what I'll do, I'm going to raise it up just a slight bit to give it a little more metal to work with, and it'll shorten this up a tiny bit. I'll drill some holes, we'll get set up, and then I'm going to use my ball joint removing tool and installing tool, that big C-clamp on it. See how that works, instead of a piece of threaded rod. All right, so let me get set up and I'll take you through it. All right, I got her set up. So you can see this is the gap where I expect that bulge to come, the change between the first one I did and the second one. And I have a heavier plate this time. And there's lots of room for this to move as much as I need it to move. And I'm using my ball joint tool. A bit finicky here, there's better ways of doing it, but I'm only doing this twice on this car. If I was making it so I had to do it all the time, like many of them, I would set this up a little better. I would change how that is. So let's see what we get. So I'll set up the tripod and see if I can get you an angle where you can watch it. I'm just doing it with a wrench, so it'll take a few pulls. I could put an impact on, but I want to just go slow. All right, so let's see what happens. She's all the way bottomed out to the bar. It's deforming the lip a little bit, but I think I'll talk about it when I get it out and we'll have a look. So let me pull this off and we'll take a look at this. But it looks pretty good. All right, so this is what we're looking at here. Now, the part that I don't like that is deformed this lip, but that can be hammer formed back up, or it could be a slot with a zip cut before you start. But I think just hammer forming it back up. Now I'll be doing this on the car. Oh, I see a problem already because I went too far. See how it ripped? It ripped right there. So there's not enough material pulling. There's not enough available material right here, so it tore, or I went too far. So this side looks good. So this side I need to open up the female die a little bit. Just cut it, bring it around so there's more material because it tore it. But I think that'll work. And I went quite a ways. Like, it looks almost, well, it's not the same as the factory one. But I'm happy with the look of this part of it. I think that's good enough for me. I just think I'm going to have to do something here. Just open that up a bit. That's not hard. Put the die grinder on it. Take some material off. Looks good. So let's get the bolts out and see what the whole thing looks like to see if the material's moved around. And I could also lessen the sharpness here. Sorry. I could smooth this out some so it didn't tear it so easily, and then give it a little more room. I think that's what it'll end up doing. Just round off that die a little bit so it just gives a bit more of a radius to it as it comes out. We can get her, but I like that, how it looks for a drain plug hole. There's the other one, like here. Of course, you've seen how I did this all hammer forming. I would be happy with just this part, but I do like this. I think that's relatively close. It's not exactly the same as factory, but it's relatively close, except for this little piece here, and that can be fixed. So if I just radius all around the male die, I think you'll eliminate that tearing. All right, I got the some mods done. Third time I'm working on it. I hog this out to make it look more like a half moon or a 3/4 moon. So, and this time I'm going to bring the die right tight to the flange, because that's how it should be on the car, and we'll see what we get with. So let me get this punched up, get this all these holes drilled out, get this clamped on, and we'll go through the same process as I did in the last time. Put it on the bench vise and hit it with the ball joint tool. All right, got her all set up. Holding it in the vise this time, like I did last time, but you should be able to see it sink in there. So we'll see what happens right in that area. So watch that area right there. I'm going to use the impact this time. I have it on just low. I'm going to bump it up to second speed and in forward, not reverse, and see what happens. I'll give it shots. Bump it up to third, a little more juice. Now it is bending it's bending this out, so I'll have to flatten that back out. I don't know how it's going to work on the car. I guess we'll have to live with whatever happens. So far I don't see it cutting anywhere, and I think that's as far as I can go. Now I got a little bit more room. But I think that's enough, so let's go with that. So I don't like I can already see I don't like how it deformed the panel, so I'm probably, like I said before, I'm going to have to put a cut in there. But I think the outcome is pretty good, except for this bending the panel like that, and I can't have that happening. So I think when I put it on the car, I'm just going to make a cut right below that there, so it doesn't pull on the flange, it just pulls on the actual sheet metal. No cuts. It's not cutting around the edge, so let's get it off and have a look. I don't see any breaks in it there. Alright, this is what I come up with. I think that's, for me, that's decent. I like that. So, like for a drain hole that's functional, I think that'll be good. The only thing is, like I said, when I took it out of the forming die, is that it warped the metal of the panel, and I think would cut it at a distance, so it give it some relief. If you have the panel off already, and you do this before you put the panel on, you could do what I did. I put it in the shrinker, and I shrunk the line again. But for me, the panel's already on. So I'll just go ahead and slit it so it takes that pressure off, and then I'll just weld up whatever needs to be welded up. And maybe I won't need any welding, but if I do, it's not a big deal. It's just welding. But I think that's a pretty decent flange, or a decent form for that plug, for that drain hole plug. So then now it's just cut out the area for the drain. All right, well, I'm going to go with that. And I'm going to send these pictures, I'm going to send some pictures off to George in Michigan, service technician. See what he thinks before I put it in my own car. If he likes it, it'll be going on the car. So, I personally like it. All right, so let's get on with that then. Get these sent off to George. Now, she's all set up. Let's see if we can form a drain hole. Alright, that's as far as she can go. That's far enough. Let's get rid of this. I think I'm going to have some, I can see this starting to curl out, so I'm going to have to do some hammer and dollying there, I'm sure. I'll get this apart. There's a big bar. Let's see what we got in here. Alright, let me get this all off and we'll take a peek at it. But yeah, it started to pull this back, so I'm going to have to probably fix that up. We'll see what happens. Well, there it is, such as it is. I don't know if I would call this successful or not. I've got some reworking to do. It's got a formed in here. Maybe it wasn't a good idea to cut that. I have no idea. Anyway, I'll have some rework to do. I never ground all this because I was worried that I'd have to do it anyway. But there's a drain hole, so that'll stay where it is. And successful, that's debatable. But it's real time, and it's in there now, so now I have to deal with fitting this part back into the quarter panel. So that's it. That's all it'll be for this video. I'm mixed feelings on it, but it's there now, so I'll have, like I said, I have to deal with it. All right, well, everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.